Welcome to another one of my workouts while I'm sick. Today I'm going to be using this physio ball to do some trigger point release on my shoulder. And make no mistake, the stuff I'm going to show you today can really help with shoulder pain. So if you're suffering shoulder pain from things like slap tears, like what I've had, or shoulder impingement, or torn rotator cuffs, any of that, this is really going to help. And I'm also going to be doing a little bit of foam rolling for my general body, but mostly for lower back discomfort and pain that I get associated with spondylolisthesis that I have in L4 and L5, and pars fracture as well. So I always start with my foam rolling because that it elevates the heart rate as well, and it just gets blood circulating. So I do, even though I'm mostly doing this to manage lower back pain in my lower back. Lower back pain in my lower back. You know what I meant. But I still do all around my thigh. There's a lot of lower back pain, especially when you've got something like spondylolisthesis that causes an anterior pelvic tilt. A lot of it comes from like the hip flexors and the quadriceps. But if I'm going to do that part, I'm going to do the whole area, as well, because this helps me with my flexibility training. So I'm just going to do a little bit of this, and then I'm going to get into the shoulder specific stuff, trigger point release, and I'll talk you through how I do it and why I do it. So I'm at the arse end of this bloody virus that I've got, and I'm all blocked up now. My sinuses are all filled up with whatever. I got sick, I think, on Tuesday. It's Saturday today, so I'm really hoping that I can get back into my training next week, my proper training. I don't do much when I'm sick. If for anybody that's been watching these videos all week, you'll notice that what I started with at the start of the week was more than what I've been doing towards the end of the week. I've been doing less as the weeks progress because I just haven't been getting better. And I've just come to this point now where the only thing I have really done is I've done on my bent arm strength days, I've done some a decent little bicep workout and for the forearm flexors to get rid of this golfer's elbow, because that's like the main thing that I've got just niggling in the background that's preventing me from being able to push really hard towards my goals. My pool goal this year is to do a one-arm pull-up, and so that golfer's elbow is absolutely stopping me from being able to do any, really high intensity and high volume pulling training. So that's why I've just been dealing with that a lot. But beyond that, I'm really just doing mobility training and foam rolling and trigger point release because it's a good opportunity. I don't normally put this much time into all this foam rolling and trigger point release stuff that I'm doing. I do a little bit of it, but it's a good opportunity when you're sick to just double down on it and get a little bit more going. Okay, so now I'm into, I find with the spondylolisthesis that I have, it causes this anterior pelvic tilt, and it causes all of those muscles to tighten up, and that causes, everything in your hip flexors and quadriceps, and it's a lot of tightness all around the hips and lower back. So just doing this foam rolling, like what I'm doing here, and in the areas that I'm doing it daily, it really helps to keep the pain and discomfort at a very minimal level. So my spondylolisthesis, it doesn't stop me from doing any exercise. I can deadlift, I can squat, I can run, I can do whatever I want. I do acrobatics. But what it does do is it really tightens things up for me. And if I don't do the things that I'm doing now, and if I don't exercise for probably more than about 2 or 3 days, discomfort turns to pain. And it does get to a point on about day 4 and day 5 of no workouts where I'm in pain and I actually have to take painkillers or anti-inflammatory tablets. And I've just learned over the years that, it's just about managing it. Motion is lotion. That's why we say that at Unity Gym, because it really is. Okay, now I'm going to move into my shoulder management, my shoulder trigger point release. And I'm going to start with just some general foam rolling for the lats. So the lats are a huge muscle. They cross the shoulder joint, obviously, because that's, they control the movement of the arm. But they go right down and connect even down into your lumbar spine. So, when you look at the lat, it's a huge muscle. I think it's the biggest muscle, the biggest single, I remember hearing that it's the biggest single muscle in the body, but it's definitely the biggest muscle in the upper body. And the reason I say single muscle is because you might say, oh, well, that's not nearly as big as the quadriceps, but the quadriceps are 4 muscles, or the hamstrings are 3 muscles. The lat is 1 muscle. It's a really, really big muscle. So the reason I say that is because you can go over the shoulder joint. So you can start on your arm and go over the shoulder joint. And I can feel a tight spot there. So that's going to be good to hit with this. This is better for those really tight spots. And then as you come down the back, you can actually roll over onto the back a little bit because it's such a big muscle and it goes all the way down to here. So really, really big area that you want to be covering. So I'll face away from the camera for this side so you can see from a different angle. So this side's not nearly as tight, not nearly as uncomfortable, which makes perfect sense because this is the side where I have the most problems with. And I get asked a lot by people because I've got these videos on slap tears, because I've had slap tears and I didn't get surgery and I perform at a pretty high level now. So people are always asking me, do I get pain? Do I still get, pain and discomfort? And the answer is yes, I absolutely do. It's a management thing. In my experience, recovering from a slap tear, another question I get asked a lot is, can I recover? Can I make a complete recovery? And my answer to that is yes, but it's not, in my experience, a complete recovery is not like you hit a point where you're like, oh my God, my shoulder's completely better now. I don't need to do any more of this stuff. It's an ongoing thing. It's something that I train 6 days a week and I do things like this regularly. And I've just learned to listen to my body and I know how to treat it. I know how to go, oh, that's a bit funny there. I better get onto this. And so what I'm doing here is, like, if my lats are sore, if my lats are tight and I'm doing my foam rolling here and I feel a spot where I'm like, oh, that's tight, what I can do, I'll get this little ball and it's hard. You can't see exactly where I'm pushing it, but it's not relevant. It's somewhere in the lat muscle. And if you Google latissimus dorsi or lat, you can see what the muscle is, but it's that big muscle that creates that V shape, that upside down Christmas tree in bodybuilders. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting the ball into different parts of the lat and finding a spot that feels tight. And there it is. And now once I've got that spot that feels tight, there's 2 things you need to do. The first thing is you need to find the angle to press on it. Because, the ball is pushing, like obviously if I can push pressure straight down into the ball, because the ball's on the ground, I'm going to get the best response there. If I'm pushing on an angle on the ball, I'm not going to get the same response because the ball's going to slide across on the ground. So what you need to do is you find that angle and then you find that way that you can push your weight down into it as much as you can. So pushing the weight down here kind of means like lifting the weight off my arm and trying to even get up on my feet so that my torso isn't on the ground. So it's like now I've almost only got 3 points of contact. There's a point of contact on the ball that my arm is helping me a little bit, and then there's my foot down there. Okay, so that the more I can do that, the more weight I'm going to get into that ball. And then I'm just going to move around and just keep going until, oh, there's another one. So you find these spots where you go, oh, like that. And that's the spot you want to get, where you feel like, ah. And when I was getting physio for my slap tear in the early phases of it, and I was fortunate enough that I had a sports physio for one of the top football clubs in Australia that was working out of our gym, because it was during COVID time and they were they had dramatically reduced hours with their football club, and so he came in and started doing treating patients out of our gym. And so I had access to this incredible world-class sports physiotherapist treating me every week. And when I was asking him what this does, why does it, actually not this, because what he was doing was going like that with his thumbs. And, I'd go in going, oh, like this. And then you'd walk out going, oh my God. And you'd have this full range of movement with very little pain. And so I asked him what it is that is doing. And he said, you're basically creating a pain response that is greater than what you're feeling. And that causes the nervous system to change its conformation around the way that it's locking muscles down based on a perceived threat, which is basically what happens with a lot of shoulder pain, is that it's just that the nervous system tightens up all these muscles to prevent movement based on a perceived threat. And so then when you try to create movement against these really tight muscles, you feel the experience of pain. Nerves get, muscles get inflamed, you get nerve pinching, all these different things can happen. And so, and of course I asked, can that be done with a massage ball? And he said, absolutely. He said, it's obviously not going to be as good as a physio doing it, but you can absolutely do it. And then my next question was, so what are you, like when he was, doing his trigger point release and I knew the muscles that he was doing, and I said, so are you specifically pressing in the rhomboid there, or are you specifically pressing in the teres minor there, or wherever he was pressing? I was asking him about the muscles that I knew they were, and he said, no, I'm not. He said, I'm basically just going in the general, like there's areas that I know are related to the pain that you're feeling, and I'm just basically feeling around and feeling the spots that feel really tight, like what people call a knot. And then from there, I'm just getting in as hard as I can to create that release. And man, when I say as hard as you can, like he would push for, if any of you guys have worked with a good sports physio before, like when they apply pressure, it's like it takes your breath away. It's like, oh my God. And they're really getting in there. And he was doing it for about 10 seconds and then he'd release and you'd get this just mad release from it. And so that's what I'm doing here. I've explained all of that because I want you guys to know why I do this, where I'm not going to tell you about this research and that research. I'm just going to tell you about my experience. My experience working with an exceptional sports physiotherapist, and actually 3 really good sports physios over the time that I had a slap tear in both shoulders. And so, and what a lot of the points that I got released is quite incredible, were right down the lat. So because the lat is such a big muscle, I had them doing releases down here for my shoulder. But it's because the lat is such a big muscle and it is responsible for so much of shoulder pain and shoulder discomfort. Oh, that one's really taking my breath away. When I say take your breath away, when you get a good one, I mean it takes your breath away. I can't even really talk. And so, you just play around with this. If you've got really bad shoulder pain, if you've got frozen shoulder, if you've got, if you're recovering from a slap tear, doing this stuff daily is really useful. And you don't go really hard every day because you can bruise yourself. Okay, so I should say that really quickly. This can cause bruising. So you don't hammer the same spots every day, but the foam rolling is pretty gentle. And what you could do is, like you've seen me do a whole lot of work around on the back of my shoulder and in my lat. So tomorrow, I wouldn't do those same areas again. Tomorrow, I could work my pecs. And then the next day, I could work around my rotator cuff, okay? And, you can apply it like that. But the idea of just making this a really big part of your life, this idea of this, exploration of where you feel the pain and working through it. My personal experience with injuries is that I have always seen people like my sports physio friends that I've just referenced here, asked a million questions, learned everything about the injury, and then become obsessed with the fixing of the injury. And so a huge part of that is the training that you do, the workouts. So you have to do strength training and flexibility training, and it has to be progressive. It has to be something that's, tailored to your level of where you are now. But also another huge part of pain management and injury management for me has been this trigger point release stuff. It's been really, really beneficial. So everything that I did just there, if you have shoulder pain, try that. Get yourself one of these. These things are, I think in Australia, they're about $10. And there's a link in the description for where you can get these. There's a link in the description of this video for everything that I use. And of course, if you use our links, we get a very, very small commission at no cost to you. So that's just me being upfront, but it helps our channel. And I always share links for the lowest cost piece of equipment that has the highest reviews. So I always make sure that I'm, linking stuff that other people have reviewed or that I've used myself, and that's low cost, because some of these balls, which are exactly the same thing, cost $26 and some of them cost $9. So don't get the $26 one. You don't need it. So yeah, that's hopefully that is the last sick workout. Hopefully next week I'm back on deck, and in the very least I can do a reduced volume week of training, because I do feel better today. As I'm doing this video, I can actually say that I feel better today. God, I felt absolute death last night. I think I peaked last night. I might actually just do my other shoulder while I'm talking. But, I've been doing this stuff for so long now that I can get in quite easily to the areas that really need it, because I'm so used to doing it. When I started doing trigger point release, I spent a lot of my time just trying to work out how to get the right angle. So that's really, if that's you, don't be disheartened. If you spend 5 minutes just trying to find the spot and then you go, then that's 5 minutes well spent, because it won't take you 5 minutes next time. You'll remember what you did, and it's through repetition that you get better. And just remember that we can all improve our situation. People feel so lost and so, disheartened when they work out and they're making progress, and 4 weeks later they get a bit of pain and it sends them back a little bit. And for a lot of people, that's it. They stop. They think, I'm never going to get better. This doesn't happen. That's not how I came out of the horrendous life-changing injuries that I've had. And I've had a lot of them. I've had a meniscus tear in this knee. I've got patellofemoral syndrome. I've had a torn Liz Frank ligament here that required surgery. I had a pars fracture from a fall in the army when I was serving overseas as an infantry soldier. That turned into spondylolisthesis and spondylosis. And I've got slap tears in both shoulders and torn rotator cuffs. I've had golfer's elbow. I've had tennis elbow. I've had bad wrist injuries. I've had so many things. And every one of them required a significant investment of my time and my focus and my dedication to turn it around. But, I mean, this is my philosophy. If you don't agree with it, no problem. But this is what life means to me. We've got one body. This is the only thing that I'm going to have from birth to death. Nothing else. This shirt's going to be gone. That shelf's going to be gone. I'll be living in a different place. I mean, heaven forbid. But, my family might not even be with me the whole time. The only thing that you are guaranteed to have is your body. And you only get one of them. And it doesn't matter, every single person comes up against obstacles with their health. Everyone. I mean, on the worst cases, people find out they have cancer or they've got some disease. So a sports injury in the grand scheme of things is minor. It really is. Even bad sports injuries, it's a pretty minor thing to have to deal with in the grand scheme of things. And if you are proactive and you really say, this injury is not going to define me, but which is where my mind always went. Whenever I got the diagnosis and, you know, these specialists are looking at me going, oh yeah, you've got a slap tear, you're probably never going to be able to do handstands again. My mind just straight away, it never even entertained the idea that I'd never be able to do handstands again. That was like, no, that's not true at all. It's just it's going to take me a couple of years to be able to, you know, get back to X, Y, and Z and go beyond it. So get on it, guys. Get on your foam rolling. Get on your trigger point release. Don't let sickness stop you. I'm sick, and whatever you've got that's going on in your body that's preventing you from being able to do the things that you love, there's always a solution. And if you need more help than that, and you want to, I never do this on these videos, but anybody that's watching, you can join the UMS Tribe membership and work with me and the team, and we can create a custom program for you if that's what you want. Go to unitygym.com. If you haven't, subscribe to my channel. Help me get to 100,000 subscribers. And I'll see you in, what's today, Saturday. Tomorrow's recovery workout. I'm going to be doing some more muscle scraping and some more trigger point release stuff, and hopefully I'll be better for training on Monday.